fades. Darkness falls. The air grows cold. The earth trembles. Pages turn. Something moves.
We're all cursed. All of us.
It's too late to run. It's too late to scream. The fog is here. John Carpenter's The Fog. Rated R.
The blackest eyes. The devil's eyes.
You will suffer an eternity for this.
And let's get slashing. We are doing John Carpenter's The Fog from, if I'm not mistaken, 1980. And Kevin is with me as always. Welcome everybody to 0 Point Reviews. On the way in, hit the like button down below if this is one of your favorites. Also, subscribe, share. Let's get this party started. We got a good guest with us. We got Zach from the Knife Party Podcast. Thanks for joining us this week, buddy.
Hey, you better smash that like button. All right, because if you don't, I'm coming. No, thank you guys for having me on the show.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really a video podcast guy. This is I only do a video podcast with another group I really like called Hoodcast AF. They're all about collectibles of, like, 80s lore and such. And so it's really weird to see yourself on camera, but no, it's gracious to be on your show. And because you're a video podcast, I've only listened to 2 of your episodes, but one time I was high on psilocybin, so I hope that's okay.
Cool.
Our resident druggie over here appreciates that.
Yeah. You guys all started to look the same after a while. Your faces started like morphing into the keymaster and the gatekeeper, if you will. So.
That's cool, because at least in one of those eyes, that means I had hair. That's cool.
Get this.
And I had a fuller beard.
I have a cooler intro, not for you guys, but for me, because Catherine Isabel did once say,
"This is Catherine Isabel, and you're listening to the Knife Party Podcast."
Just saying, Catherine Isabel did once listen to the show. So there you go.
I
It's
love
kind of like Dana for us, Dana DiLorenzo from Ash vs. Evil Dead.
That's pretty cool. I think that's a movie right there. We should get them together.
Hells yeah. It should be Ginger Snaps versus the Evil Dead.
I would, you take my money, please. Take it.
Hells yeah. Kevin, how you doing this week, buddy?
Not too shabby. It's been busier than I like to, but can't complain. Gotten a little bit of video games in, just retro.
Ooh, what you're playing?
Yeah,
I'm a retro video game guy. You should see my Nintendo collection. I collect I collect vinyls, Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I love me some JRPG. So what are we playing? Please talk to me.
Now you're talking my language.
I restarted the Ocarina of Time this week, and I feel like such a nerd, but I'm so happy with it because I love the music. I love the graphics. It's one of my favorite games.
What you playing on, though?
On the Switch.
Okay. Yeah.
The Switch is the best system. I just had me and my wife were talking about this. Is I have a PS5. A listener donated me a Xbox One. Wow. Yeah, I know. We got Jeff Ugly Shoes. Shout out Jeff Ugly Shoes. Thank you so much for the Xbox. But I must say, I just got Shodoken 1 and 2, the remasters.
Okay.
I can't wait to play that, but I'm finishing up Dragon Warrior right now, and I named all the characters after my cats because I'm a weirdo.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you sound like our house. My wife is a big Zelda and Legend of Dragoon nut. She used to run legendofdragoon.net. And we've named half of our cats after characters from those and the Dark Crystal TV show.
Can I ask you something, though? Why is Legend of Dragoon such a female game? Now, hear me out. Every girl I ever known, they go, Final Fantasy is too complicated. I go, play Legend of Dragoon. They go, okay, now I want to play Final Fantasy. It's like this. It's like the gateway drug. It's like the Pokemon, if you will, to RPGs.
I don't know, but she absolutely loved it. That's why she ran the website for years. Although she let it expire a couple of years ago because she's like, I'm not spending money because they ain't doing anything new with it. And just the last time we heard anything, it was released on PlayStation 3. Well, now you can get it off of PlayStation 5 and everything. And it's like, well, she's not keeping that running anyway. So.
Is it ever going to be ported to Switch, or because I mean
it should. I think the Switch could handle it.
Oh, it definitely could. I mean, the Switch handles The Witcher, and I mean that's a big game. That's a 300-hour game if you want to actually do everything in it, right? I mean, The Witcher 3 rather is what I meant.
Yeah, I think the main problem is Sony's got the license on lock, and if you're not gonna freaking remake it or do a new sequel that everybody's been begging for years, then what are you doing? Because, like, I got everything here for Legend Dragoon. I got CDs.
Nice. Yeah.
These games.
You don't even have the green box. You have the black box. Ooh, look at you.
This is my wife's collection. She said I could have it in the room here next to my Castlevania collection. So
I wish I was in my nerd room. You guys would freak out. I'm actually in my own theater. So that's why I was asking if you guys were local, because if you guys were local, I would love to have you over. I converted my garage into the best thing you do is you go to churches because they're always changing out the projectors. And that's where you get it in movie screens. That's where you get a theater for cheap. Like, I mean, we got ours like for like $1,000. Now the stereo system is like way more than that. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, everyone should have a theater in their house because
this is basically my theater room. It's just got a giant TV on the other side of the wall.
It needs to be a little darker, man. I couldn't watch movies in there. I'd freak out.
Oh, I got LED lighting strips and everything, so the lights always go off when we play. And I got nice Valencia theater seating chairs back here. Shout out, they're not sponsors or anything, but I love these chairs. They were my birthday gift to myself. I spent like enough money to get those here. And
by the way, we are looking for a vintage popcorn machine. So if anyone has one to sell, please contact me at knifepartypod@yahoo.com. I want an old school popcorn machine. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to derail the conversation. I am your guest. I am not your host.
Nope, that is totally fine. Hey, we're doing intros right now. And circling back around now that we're back on the movie conversation talk, Zach, have you ever seen John Carpenter's The Fog before? And
no.
If so, what are your memories, or if this was the first time?
So, you guys remember Monster Vision? Mm-hmm. You look old enough to remember. I think we're about the same age. Yeah,
damn shirt.
Sorry, I got to represent my own merchandise, or else I'd be wearing one too. Joe Bob Briggs, right? I grew up on that mofo. He got me into Zombie Foo. He got me into like blaxploitation films. He got me into everything I love today. When I was a kid, I go, I want his job or Peter Steele, but I'm not 6'9" and I can't play bass that well. So I decided to go into the realm of because just like you guys, I was raised on NES and a VCR, right?
Right.
And we would tape movies we didn't have. It'd be like on Monster Vision tonight, da 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 is playing, you know, and we're like, hell yeah, let's tape it. But remember this, folks. You had to press pause during commercials, so you would actually stay up till like 3 a.m. taping your movies, right?
Oh yeah.
Especially if you got those, because a Maxwell's tape was only about 3 hours, and if you did long play, it'd be like 6 hours. But you didn't want the long play because they'd always mess up when you rewound, and it'd f up and blah blah blah, this and that, get demagnetized easy. So we'd sit there and watch it, and I remember seeing this. And I remember thinking it was the most boring movie by by Carpenter, right? Now, I just rewatched this with my dad last night and then rewatched it again today, right before we started. Okay. And I had a totally different experience with it. So I have seen this before, but whenever I review a movie, I make sure it's fresh in my mind and I have pages of notes because I don't want to miss a thing. I don't want to miss a detail because sometimes there's little details when you rewatch movies. That's the greatest thing about rewatching a movie. You know, like recently I just rewatched The Substance 3 times before I did my review with it. And each time I found something new. This movie, I found something new rewatching it just twice. And definitely found a lot of things I discovered on this view.
Right on. All right, Kevin, what about you?
Oh man, so I think this is honestly only the second time I've ever seen this movie.
Really?
Which is crazy for several reasons. I mean, one, it's a Carpenter flick. Two, this movie this image behind me very specifically, the box art, the poster art. I remember this from the video store as a kid, like always seeing Jamie Lee in this hand coming from what I thought was like a refrigerator. Like it was, I thought it was like a hand coming out of the fridge, like fog was coming out of the fridge, and therefore I had no idea. But I've never had the plot of this movie down properly.
Kev, did this remind you of the stuff? The original box art reminded me of the stuff.
A little bit.
I wasn't even
yes.
thinking of that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It really, I swear, the stuff, the fog, and this. Okay, to me, the stuff's a better movie because the stuff is a hilarious movie with a great soundtrack. Yeah, but this movie, I swear, when I saw the fog, I'm like, is this a ripoff of the stuff? No, turns out came out first. John Carpenter, et cetera, et cetera. Sorry for interrupting. Keep going.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, the image always captivated me, and the stuff, the same thing. I've only seen the stuff once. I don't even own it. I need to get that movie.
Yeah.
What?
I think it's a fucking brilliant movie. Like it's
I do own it, but I have only watched it once.
It's by the producers of House and Return of the Killer Tomatoes. It's such a great movie. Oh my God, I love this stuff. Sorry, that was one of. That was one I
not apologize. We love this stuff.
It just makes such a great statement, like how everything's trying to fucking eat you.
Well, it's a great statement about consumerism and anyway, and I always thought the stuff was even better than the Blob. I know that's sacrilege, but by the way, if you guys never seen this stuff, it is free to watch on YouTube. It is free to watch on YouTube. I always do something on my show where I go, here's how to watch it for free without being piracy. The stuff is free on YouTube. Like you could watch it right now, this second. Put a post in the link if you want. In fact, if not, I'll do it on my show.
Free with ads on YouTube.
Cool. I am so there.
Enough is never stuff.
The stuff. But gosh, I those were movies that I just never got to see as a kid. And I don't remember if it was because my dad didn't like them and thought they were stupid or just whatever. I always missed them. But The Fog, I always thought it was like pirates that would come out of the mist. Didn't know it was about the lepers. Didn't know it had anything to do with Roanoke or anything like that. Had no clue. And then even last night when I was watching it, I was talking to my roommate and I'm like, well, there's no lepers on this story. Or they're at the very beginning when the guy's telling the story about the ship that sinks.
Right.
The Elizabeth Dale.
Yes. It had nothing to do with leprosy. Nothing to do with it. It was a very hallmark story that the gentleman was telling the kids, as we do, whitewashing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, shit, I thought this had fucking lepers in it. All right, whatever. Think to myself, I shouldn't smoke that joint.
That'll learn.
It happens, man.
I should have smoked too.
Whoa. That's another thing I was going to say that kind of angered me. Not angered, sorry, that's the wrong word. It perplexed me about your guys' show is you started so late that my alcohol consumption had to start later than normal. So that was really, really hard to like pull off. Could I make this beer last till 8 o'clock? That was a challenge. The five other that preceded fell victim, but yes, challenge accepted. But no,
we appreciate you trying.
Yeah,
I don't. That's why I appreciate it. I'm sunrise to sunset myself.
I guarantee we're going to be friends. I just know it. But no, I thought too that I was like, this could be a better version of Pirates of the Caribbean, like right from the get, right? You know, like like the legend, and when the old man is telling the story, he's like, you know, on April 14th at 12 o'clock, the campfire, they mistook it for a lighthouse, and they went to the lighthouse, and the boat crashed, and then so he gives us a false story, and then when the priest later on, I'm jumping ahead here, that story has nothing to do with the story that they're actually telling. That bothered me a lot. But anyway, moving on. This movie has okay. All right, hold on, real quick. I have issues with this movie, but no, it needed more pirates. It shouldn't have been about a leper. I think it would have been funnier and funner if it would have been about pirates. And we know Carpenter to be a cheese hound. He's cheesier than a nacho bowl at times, right? I mean, look at Big Trouble Little China, one of his greatest movies, if not his best. Look at Escape from New York, one of his greatest movies, if not his best, right? Well, we all know the thing's the best, but I'm just, beating around the bush here. This movie is trying to be really super serious because I think it's based off a Stephen King book or a short story, rather. Oh. If my notes are correct.
He was loosely inspired by it, and this was part of his 2-contract deal with AFCO Embassy to do this and Escape from New York. So he was trying to crank out some movies. So you're right, what you know. And it's also the same reason, like, and I'm going to go, this is what we do, 0 Point. We go off on side topics here. There's a reason why he loves Dead Space, and everybody begs for him to do a Dead Space movie, and he wants to do one too. Just Electronic Arts and whatever's going on with that's completely insane. But like, it's to the same point. You write what you know. Well, there's no better person I'd rather have doing Dead Space than John Carpenter, because he freaking loves the game, and I think he'd do a great job.
Stop the bike. Time out. Stop the bike. Stop the bike. Time out. Okay, I love Dead Space. I think Dead Space, I know this is like, you can get executed for saying this. I think Dead Space is better than the whole Resident Evil franchise combined.
Absolutely.
And, okay, good. So you're with me. I like the Xbox version better than the PS5 version.
I can understand that if you're talking the new remaster of it. Yeah. I only have the PS5. I don't have Xbox, so I haven't been able to make that side by side.
Oh, well, I mean, maybe one of you listeners should donate Jeff an Xbox, huh?
Not necessary.
Right? Okay, I'm just saying one of my listeners should donate an extra Xbox. Okay, all right. That maybe it's a once in a lifetime thing. Plus my wife is named Nicole, so I don't know if you know that Nicole is dead.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. And I remember
love that part of the first game.
Oh my God, the first game is so. And Isaac doesn't have a voice. I hated that they gave him a voice. I hated that. Dead Space was like the Thing and Alien mixed together. It was so freaking good. It was, and that was really a truly terrifying game. Like, yeah. I remember like, and Evil Dead. It's got Evil Dead elements in it. But no, I would if John Carpenter does it's Dead Space. Take my money. Take my money, please. Like, again,
I feel like if that's what he wants for his retirement picture, hey, let's go out in style. Because while he's had a kind of a spotty record with movies for the last dozen or so years, he could still pull off a damn good movie if he's invested in it enough. Because he's done short films that have turned out great. He did an episode for Tales of Horror or something like that. There was an anthology show he did. He did a great episode on that. He can still cut it. He just needs to be invested in it and people to allow him the money to do it.
Well, what was
George Romero's Resident Evil? If there was money for that, or George Romero's The Mummy, that would have been pretty fun too.
We covered that, and I love George Romero's The Mummy. The script is so interesting. I really wish that would have got made. George Romero was brilliant. I
have episodes of yours I have to catch up on. So,
well, I have 321 as of right now. So you got a lot of time.
I was listening to your Big Trouble in Little China, and then I'm like, well, I also need to check out your Substance one soon.
You know what? I would really recommend if you're really going to go back. The latest one that I thought was so funny that I almost pissed my pants in bed listening to later is our Black Dynamite series. It was so good, but that's because. Yeah. Anyway, no, I mean, hey, we catch up on each other. This is how podcasts work. It's not radio. We're not in competition. We're here to support each other. Like, it's on-demand radio. That's what we do. The idea is, hey, you got a great product. I have a great product. They're probably a little different. They're probably a lot of the same. Cool. Tell a friend. Share the message. There is no competition. It's just, hey, you like this? Check it out. You'll like that. It's just like movies. Hey, you like this movie? You'll probably like this movie. You like that album? Probably like this album.
We just want to hang with fun people and have a good time. That's all it's really about for us.
Yeah, and say,
I was going to say it's a growing community that's resolving the problem that there's nothing good on TV. So
we're showing you what to watch on TV.
And
I mean,
authenticity is king.
It is, but I mean, look, the Oscars are going to tell you to watch Wicked and not Substance, right? The Oscars are going to say watch Maverick, but not Top Gun. Everyone's going to tell you to watch something, and even there is good movies that came out like recently. Like, I mean, I was having this argument with not an argument, sorry, a discussion with somebody about how Hollywood is pushing all these female characters, and they're doing it forcefully, and it's not cool because I don't like the characters when you John Cena me the characters. If you let the characters be themselves, I will automatically like them. For example, my last 4 favorite movies that just came out, all-star female actors, and it was Evil Dead Rise, Substance, and Prey. All female actors, right? All female heroines, all female heroes, kicking ass, taking names. You don't have to Mad Max me Fury Road and go, oh, this chick's badass. Look at her, and she's got a shotgun and shit. No, just let her be herself, and it will come. And it's the same thing with movies. Like, we like movies when movies are good. You do not need to force them on us, right? It doesn't need to be a gore fest. It doesn't need to have like 30 minutes of pornography. Just make the movie good and people will come to it. That's why people still think The Shining and Silence of the Lambs are so great, because they're tame movies to this, but they're not tame. They're edgy in their own like weird, mysterious way. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, what's up, Jesse? I don't know who you are, but what's up?
Oh, yeah. YouTube comments. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, we got a couple. Hey, Jesse and Michael Moriarty was reaching ridiculously good in the stuff. And then I put a link out there for the Stuff movie. Free with ads on YouTube. Come on, YouTube.
Yeah. And go check out my podcast on it. You'll love it. In fact, we actually were eating the stuff during the podcast, and it was hilarious. We did a gag where we actually had the stuff containers, and we were eating. I
think I've seen those at like some of the stores, the Halloween stores, like Spirit of Halloween and whatnot.
Yeah, my cousin makes all that shit. He stuff rather. He actually makes the Lost Boys missing. You know, with the characters on them. I have one in my kitchen to this day.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a clever guy.
And speaking of toys, the Scream Factory release of the 4K came with a nice little Stevie Wayne figure that took like months to get here.
Really?
But she never actually even held the cross in the movie. So this is a continuity error in the toy.
That is very true. And we will get to the good and the bad here. And before we do that, I'll finally have like my little experience with this movie. As a kid, I hated this movie. I'm not going to lie. It took me until I was a little bit more of an adult, like basically college time, when I came back around to, Anchor Bay's got a sweet little DVD. Okay, I'll check it out. And this is when DVDs were still young. So I was like, hey, this is all novelty. Let's go. I watched it then and I'm like, it's not bad. I don't know. The older I get, the more I like the movie. So it's like one of those low key, the more I watch it, the older I get, the more I appreciate certain aspects of it. And you know what? I'm proud to have this in my collection. All I have though is the 4K, which looks awesome. Things are a little bit brighter. You can actually make some details out on like the creature effects that John did, even though this is a very low budget on this movie. And it's very obvious, but I'm super proud to have this in the collection. Super proud that we're talking about it. We have a fun guest. And Kevin, let's get into the good and then the bad, and then we will judge this movie.
All right. So, I mean, if you want to talk about the good of this movie, you first got to talk about the cast, because this cast is stacked and stellar.
Loaded.
Yeah, like it's pretty much the entire cast of Halloween 1, 2, and 3.
It's a who's who.
Yeah, really. I mean, you've got Laurie, Annie, God, what's Atkins' name from part 3? I've only seen part 3 once. I don't know.
God.
Anyway,
Now you're testing my
I'm with
Halloween
you.
knowledge, and I wasn't thinking Halloween right now.
I always skip part 3. I'm with you. I'm sorry.
I know. I'm supposed to be more open-minded, but I'm not.
That's our Halloween movie this year.
Fuck off, really?
No, I'm just messing with it.
Damn it!
You guys should just
I'm
do
threatening
Jason
you.
X.
We did Night of the Creeps, so
I like Jason X a lot better, actually.
Cryo Kill.
The cryo kill and the sleeping bag, like
Oh my god, dude! The only reason to play the PS4 game, right?
Exactly.
there was a PS4 game. Oh! I'm sorry.
Yeah, you know which game.
I thought you meant Jason X. I was like, they made a Jason X game of that. Wait. Sorry.
Not yet. It's in development. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, that them Cunningham's going to screw everybody on. Anyway, John Carpenter's The Fog and the cast.
The good.
The good is it's got a decent story. I like this. This is a cerebral story. I never had the concept until I was an adult. I never really quite understood it, but it's a cerebral ghost story, and ghost stories are kind of hard to do, especially up until like that point where they didn't have the special effects.
So, I got the full cast right here. All right. So we got John Carpenter. Not only did the directing,
Ben Tramer.
he also wrote it, and he did the music just like he does in every other movie. So I don't know if you guys know this, but John Carpenter,
He starts out in it too. He's that assistant at the beginning.
I was just about to get to that. Thank you so much for that segue.
Sorry.
No, for real. Thank you for that.
It's
He
cool.
actually is in this too. He's Mustache Man, who actually works on the church and doesn't get paid.
His character name is Bennett Tramer. Short
I thought
for
it was-
Ben Tramer.
I thought it was Benoit Tramer, but okay, cool. You're probably right. But he also does the music in this, and the reason why he does the music in all of his movies is his dad was a percussionist and showed him how to play the piano as if it were a drum set. I don't know if you guys knew that. So that's why that ba 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 ba.
Yep.
It's just like how you would play drums. Anyway, we have Stevie, the disc jockey, played by, and I suck with names, so please bear with me, Adrienne Barbeau. We have Hal Helbrook as Father Malone, and he's been in a lot of movies, and he usually plays a drunk Irishman. He does in this as well.
Okay. Yeah.
We have Elizabeth Soley, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, and we have Kathy Oh, fun fact about Jamie Lee Curtis: she was born with an XXY chromosome. We have Janet Leigh being she plays Kathy Williams. We have John Hoseman as Mr. McCain. Anyway, he dies. We have Nick Castle being played by Tom Atkins.
Yep.
We have Nacy Keys being she's playing Stacey Faddle. We have the character known as Dan O'Brien, played by Charles Cyphers. He dies. In fact, most of these people die. Where am I saying this? Ty Mitchell plays Andy Wayne, and I think this is his only role. This is the child actor who's the son.
So.
Mhm.
I think it is. And then I think we have a cameo. It doesn't say. Stephen Loomis did the costume design also, by the way. We have a cameo by Stephen King. Is what I'm hearing on the internet as the coroner.
Really?
That's what I'm hearing.
You looked way not high enough for it.
No.
He must
This
not have
is-
found cocaine yet.
No. This is pre-cocaine, but this is mid-cigarettes and alcohol. So
Okay.
bipolar alcoholics such as myself usually always find a crutch. Stephen King at this time was drinking. It was during when he was writing Tommyknockers is when he was all effed up on the white stuff.
And Maximum Overdrive, the movie.
whites. Oh no, that was when he was on the peak of the white stuff.
Okay. I stand corrected.
Yeah, that's when he was like, "This is the best." Remember the preview for that movie? He was like, "This is the greatest fucking movie ever. You need to see it, you fucking asshole. I'm on coke. See this movie. It's got AC/DC in it and Emilio Estevez, even though it's not as good as Repo Man."
It's funny because even today, these days, he looks back and he's like, Yeah, that wasn't exactly the best decisions I made back then.
Did you
It's
hear
like,
that
bro, you gave us a hell of a crazy ass movie.
Did
There's
you
nothing
hear that
wrong with that.
we already covered it in mine, but I'm like, this might be the best example of why not to take drugs and why to take drugs.
And when some artists they get off drugs and all of a sudden their music just does not seem as enjoyable.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It's when they quit doing drugs, you're like, I don't get it.
Man, this ain't my jam anymore. Come on, Metallica. Get back to the booze.
Whoa.
And the hookers. And the blow.
You're right, though. I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, right. The lightning, like Master of Muppets, are like everything that's great about Metallica, and everything after that was like, I'm gonna go watch Faith No More on the other stage. See ya.
There you go. Oh my god.
Am I wrong though? I'm not wrong.
Not wrong.
Okay. I'm just saying.
Just saying.
I don't think Metallica's had a good album in 20 years, 25. So
I don't think Metallica's had a good album since
basically the 90s.
Dude, I wouldn't even say I don't even like the Black. I think the Black album is overrated. That's just me, though. I mean, like there was so much better music.
I did like that one, but that's about the last one. I was like, okay. After that,
as a verified actual musician with a gold record, nice. I will say that I am able to say that Metallica are mediocre at best.
Yes,
I'm more Megadeth anyway.
Dude. Right? I mean, Holy Wars. The song Holy Wars is better than anything Metallica has ever released, ever. Just saying. Okay.
We should have talked to you a long time ago.
Just Rust in Peace is a perfect album if you like thrash metal. The Black album is Let's Get on MTV.
I know a guy out there who's going to be like, nobody's talking about Slayer. Razorburn, that one's for you, buddy. I'm going to make sure you watch this review of us. But
look, Slayer are good. Okay, don't get me started about Slayer, okay? Because all right, first off, I just saw Opeth on Halloween night in San Francisco, and nothing metal can touch those guys. You got, especially when you had one joint, 3 beers, and just right enough of shrooms. It was just like I was like, oh my god, this is metal. This is so good. Start. Yeah. And then Michael Withers like, "Oh, are you heavy enough?" And you're like, "You are so Swedish and beautiful. I want to caress your lioness hair." I'm moving on back to the movie.
Yep. But there is quite a bit that is good about this movie. The overall aesthetic and the atmosphere that they set. It's definitely got that main sort of vibe, like a Stephen King story, like you just talked about earlier. And so I like how it's this small little town. They're celebrating like this historical event on how the place was founded. We're going to dedicate this monument. And while the story is a bit of a mess, the overall plot is pretty basic, pretty simple. And I do like that it stays focused on things. One thing I really do like about this is the fact that even with reshoots, the Carpenter still went back and was like, we need to add a little more gore. And so it's just enough for this kind of a movie to be facing all the other 80s movies and actually feel like it's part of it. And I think it's got a good aesthetic. I think it looks good. It's nice, low budget, gritty. That's exactly what I want out of my 80s movies. I don't want them looking pretty like today's movies are. And while we'll talk about the legacy of this movie later, where it fits for Carpenter's legacy, I like this movie. It's a fun movie, and it runs crisp at a 90-minute runtime, although about a third of the movie was reshots, including the intro you were just talking about. And why that probably does not talk about the leprosy, it's because they shot it after the fact, and they probably didn't even think about that.
And it messed up the date. Real quick, though, did you notice this was rated R for flashing lights? This is how delicate this new generation is. They're like, guys, there's nudity, violence, and flashing lights. I swear to you, I screenshot it. I go, flashing lights? Are you serious? This is rated R for, you have to be an adult to see flashing lights. It's the first thing that came up on Amazon when you watch this.
Wow. Oh, I should have fired that up. I was watching off my just standard Blu-ray because of what I was doing at the time. But
I this was totally last minute for me. It couldn't come in time, so I'm like, I'm buying this on Amazon, and then it's like, oh, it's free with commercials. And I'm like, how many commercials? Like 2, and I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'll just anyway.
Right.
Flashing lights, rated R. Be aware. There might
You got
be
more flashing lights on your video with the green specks than anything I ever saw in this movie.
Those are ghosts. Chad's brought them in. We have a ghost hunter. He comes in here. He costs $82 a show, and he always leaves these fucking ghosts, and they just fly around and go boo, and then I have to hire him back to get them away. It's a long story. But the Chaz has been a part of the show for a long time since we didn't ghost ship, and I can't get these fuckers out of here. Apologize for the cursing. But yeah, no. Anyway, all right. So. I love talking about filming locations, right?
Yep.
So this movie really only takes place in a couple of scenes. There's and a couple of days. I think this movie takes place in what, like 3 days? Like if you actually, or 2 days almost.
I think 2 days.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the Lighthouse radio show with Stevie, who's a bit of all right, but despite her 80s hair. By the way, the mic she's using, I don't know, did you guys pay attention to the mic she was using?
I was not.
No.
Okay, so that's called a EV mic UA. My dad was watching this with me last night, and he's been a professional musician forever. He's 68 years old, and he goes, I recognize that mic. And I go, what mic is that? I'm going to write this down for fun facts.
Yeah.
Those mics went at the time for about, like, when this was filmed, those mics were about, so this was 45 years ago. Those mics were like $199.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot back then.
Yeah. So those are professional, real radio, like,
Damn.
style mic. And apparently they still go for a high dollar. Anyway, so we have Stevie's Lighthouse, right? We have Stevie's house, which is connected kind of nearby. And then we have the bar, which is only shot, I think, 2 scenes in there. We have the church, obviously, where our finale comes in. We have a bunch of car and street scenes. All the scenes with Nick and Liz are filmed in the same area as the as her house, so they just use multiple rooms. This was really only shot in like 3 places, and then out and exterior shots. Which, hey man, to make your dollar stretch, that's an awesome thing. You know, like I love it when I always say if you could shoot like movies such as Suicide Kings, where everything's or The Fly, where everything's filmed in one room. Congrats, like you got me. If you could tell a story in one room, or you know, and even stuff like Game at Dinner with Hitchcock, right? I love it when people tell a story within a room. This movie only has about 3 or 4 rooms in it, and then exteriors, and then of course the exterior shots with the that old beat up Ford, whatever it is.
God. Yeah, when the windows blew out, that was probably one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie. They're just
Really?
driving along and then boom.
The windows blew in.
Yep. Oh, I said blowout, didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah.
They just exploded inside, and I forgot about that scene, and it popped me.
It's like
Hold on,
everybody
real quick.
ran up to the windows, went bang.
We got to look down here. Metallica did cut their hair, and that I think that is the see in the comments right there. Yeah,
Well,
yeah. They lost their power. They were like Samson.
Oh,
That's very true. Here's a good question from Norman. Carpenter usually stuck close to budget, time management. Yeah, he usually did. This is one of the rare times he had to go back for reshoots because he hates doing reshoots. But he admittedly said the movie did not work. And when he was doing the final cut, he felt like there was too much issues with the movie. And we'll get to the issues soon enough because this movie does have issues. But he even was like, we need a little more time and money to fix this. And at least he was able to get that done. So he gave us the movie he wanted to deliver without doing a complete redo.
Do you know what the budget and the shooting was on this? Because I mean, this seems like it was shot in. You don't? I couldn't find anything on it either, and I really did do my due diligence. of all these notes I took, I could not find anything. It's like it seems like
Yeah.
I
Budget.
Well,
was
it's if you
1.1.
trust Wikipedia, it's about 1.1 million. I know the reshoots were indicated to be around $100,000.
So I got 2.7 is what I found.
Okay.
And it said question mark. And the reason why this movie wasn't advertised was, did you know about the downside guarantee he had with advertising?
No.
He talks about it. So he talks about it in there's a really great interview you could find on YouTube. Watch the show and then watch it. Don't turn away now, because we're just getting into this, guys. But anyway, when you're bored later, there's a downside guarantee he was talking about that a studio could not give you advertising unless the budget went over $3 million. And guess what the downside guarantee was on advertising? $3 million. So if you made $3,001,001, they could use every dollar to advertise and only give you $1 to film.
Damn.
This was very known later on in the 90s for movies such as Blair Witch Project, which only had $300,000 to film, if that, and had multiple millions of dollars to film, or to promote. I mean, they even did like mockumentaries and stuff.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
So anyway, he probably used all that money, and that's why, like, I never heard about this movie except for like what you were saying when you'd walk into Blockbuster, aging myself right there, and you would see it on, and you would go, "Is this what movie is this? John Carpenter's The Fog? What the hell is this? Pirates with fog? Is this a porn? I don't know. It's got Jamie Lee Curtis in it." Well, you know what? I put Undead Seaman, which would have been a great title for this movie, by the way. Undead Seaman.
John Carpenter's Undead Seaman. Boy, does
like
that not sound right.
I like it.
All right, let me put in my own.
Works.
Sorry, I have to have my own laugh track if no one laughs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. No,
That
that's
was
some
John
good
Wayne,
tidbits, though. Right?
Oh, dude, when I take notes, I take notes. I'm fastidious as hell.
Kevin,
So
what
no,
about your
the
notes?
good. Yeah.
I used to take.
Well,
notes.
no, we're talking about the good. I think the effects are great. Kev, come on, baby. Tell us your notes. Do you have notes, or did you just watch the movie and just go, "Oh, our guest will do all the work"?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I did.
That was a joke. I love you.
That's usual.
Yeah, that.
Hey, I'm not mad, man. Hey, you know what? A burger's a burger, okay? I don't care if it falls on the ground, as long as it's not in Calcutta.
My notes were in keeping in touch with the cerebral facts and the comparing it to other ghost stories and whatnot, and comparing it to, and I wasn't going to mention it until the bad, but the remake. Like, if the remake,
I've never seen
had this story with their special effects,
yes,
it would have been really good. If this movie would have had their special effects in everything else that this movie was, it would have been fantastic.
I didn't know this was remade.
Yeah,
2005, I want to say.
I think so, something like that.
And Carpenter was famous for saying, "This is one of my least favorite movies. Here, have at it. Just give me the check. Let's go."
Well, fair enough, because it's my least favorite movie is his. Wait a minute. When did The Mist come out?
Shit.
2000.
Same time, right? Do we have a volcano effect?
Volcano and Dante's Peak.
Mist
No,
movie,
okay.
2007.
Okay, so I have this theory on my show, and we prove it all the time. It's called the volcano effect. Whenever a movie comes out about a volcano, another volcano movie comes out same year. Whenever a movie about an asteroid comes out, an asteroid comes out. So we call it the volcano effect, right? Yeah. Vampires are in this year, pirates are in this year, blah, blah, blah. There'll be two movies that come out and people confuse them. It all started with Dune and Return of the Jedi. People are like, let's go see that new space movie. And they're like, which one? Because people really weren't like movie goers at that time because they're all high in coke. But anyway, you have Dante's Inferno, you have Volcano, right? You have Asteroid, you have Deep Impact. There's so many variants of this. I was wondering because when I heard there was a remake of this movie, I swear to God, I thought it was The Mist, and I love The Mist. It's one of my favorite movie. I have the black and white version, which, by the way, is so much better than the original because the monsters look cool, and the ending is one of the. I'm not going to give it away. If you haven't seen The Mist, go watch The Mist. It's way better than The Fog, in my opinion. Sorry.
I like the Mist movie. I'm rare company too.
The Mist is great. No, that's not rare company. You go on Horror Fam on Twitter, and people love The Mist for good freaking reason. It's a great movie, right?
And Thomas Jane.
There you go. But no, I was saying, so when you say that this was remade, I swear to you, I thought you were like The Mist. But no, you're saying The Fog was remade? Okay.
Yeah, and it also had Tom Welling in it, Mr. Clark Kent from Smallville.
Can do. Yeah, I mean, Glenn Jacobson, who played Kane, was in Smallville once.
Yes,
my wife. Yes, he was.
Oh,
He's also
cool.
the mayor of Knox County, and he will choke slam you.
Tombstone you.
No, well, I mean, that's mainly his brother. The Tombstone's really only used for like certain baddies, like your
Pete
Cena's,
Rose.
Batista's, Pete Rose. Thank you, Pete Rose. Yes, whenever Pete Rose comes in his chicken outfit in WrestleMania, Kane will come. He will tombstone you into the ground, and you will see that you shall burn in hell. Yes, Undertaker. What? Okay.
Hey, we got a wrestling fan on here, Kevin. We're gonna
Sorry
have a
about
problem now soon.
our family.
Actually, I think I have a Shawn Michaels t-shirt right there. Look at that. Yeah.
Brett screwed Brett.
Brett did screw Brett, by the way, and it was best for business, okay? And WCW didn't know how to deal with Brett because they're dealing with Hulk and his bullshit. But that's for another podcast.
Oh. Now
So are we
it makes
still
me want to
talking
get
about
that wrestling show started now again.
I already have one called Midnight Ramen. You are welcome to join it whenever you want.
Dude, brother, count me in. But we should probably stay focused on the front. Oh.
Can I get too sweet though before we
Sweet, buddy.
stop? Yeah, thank you. Bullet Club for life.
All right, back to The Fog. We have to get to the bad at some point, but do you guys have anything more on the good side for John Carpenter's The Fog?
The lack of gore in this actually helps this movie, I think.
I would agree with you on that, even though he went back and edited in after the fact for his reshoots.
I did know that. Okay, so the lack of gore.
It was tamer before.
Tramer?
Oh, tamer, he said. Oh.
Yeah.
I think the lack of gore works because this kind of screams more. This is before John Carpenter went off his fucking rocker and just went, let's do The Thing and let's do Big Trouble, where we're going to just see gore and blood and balls exploding everywhere. It's kind of like in the game Fallout when you pick Bloody Mess. That was John Carpenter like after this movie, but before the movie, it was like, this movie, right? Or Halloween. Like if you rewatch Halloween, I don't think you see a drop of blood in that movie. Like, honestly.
Until the very, very end.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You see, but it's not even close to, like, you watch Evil Dead Rise, and you're like, holy shit, right?
Gallons of blood everywhere.
You watch this movie, and you're like, this is tame. Why is this rated R? Jaws has more blood than this movie. In fact, Jaws has more rated PG.
Gremlins is bloodier than this movie.
Thank you. E.T. practically has more blood in this movie. Even the one with walkie-talkies when Spielberg put walkie. Don't even get me started. I refuse to watch and review a Star Wars movie unless someone gives me $20. I swear to God, that's really a thing. It's called Yep.
We made a promise to Justin and one of our other buddies out there that we would do. We might do one of his Star Wars reviews. We'll see.
I trolled somebody and just talked about like my depression and alcoholism for an hour and then kept playing the Star Wars music in the background, promising I was going to review it and then never did. That was a real show. I think it's episode 13, by the way. No, but anyway, I really like the lack of blood on this. The suspense is great. I really like the ending. When you actually see, I think his name is Burke. Let me double check. Blake. When you see the pirate or the Captain Blake,
Yes.
that scene in the church has great lighting, great cinematography. It's really compelling. It got me back in. I like the weight of the gold cross. It actually looked like it weighed something. You know, like in some movies when someone has something, it doesn't weigh shit, and you could tell. Like when someone just has a cup, or
It's
for
made out of
example,
cardboard and painted with aluminum foil. Here we go.
or like even a movie, yeah, exactly. Like in John Carpenter's Vampires with the black cross, the Berzier cross. You could tell that's made out of cardboard, and James Woods is like holding it like it's. I mean, James Woods is awesome, but still, he's holding it like, you know, he's taking a piss, and that thing's supposed to weigh like 200 pounds. There's certain things about this movie, the physics of the movie. I actually like the diary. It actually looks handwritten, even though it looks like watercolor. I like the filming locations about it a lot. I do like, there's a lot of things I do really like about this movie. On my third watching, when I first watched this, I thought it was garbage. My second watch, I thought it was like basic. I even said this is if 2000 Space Odyssey was a pirate movie, is what I said, because I'm like, there's a lot of boring and a little bit of good. And now rewatching it today, I'm going to say that this movie, I give it a 71. I know we're not probably supposed to judge it now, but there's a lot. You said it's under 90 minutes. It is. It could have been edited better and had more gore and scare in it. I think we should have got more shots of the ship. But for what they had, if you tell me that's the budget they had, they did a pretty good fucking job on this movie.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Really?
I don't mean to dominate the show. I have a lot of opinions.
Hey, when we have a guest on, it's okay. Kevin, what about you? Got anything else on the good side?
I just got to say the concept. I really enjoy the concept. It's a good ghost story. They start with the legend. They build on that. It takes a little while for you to see the ghosts. Even the fog itself, it takes a while. I mean, the first night, they make their presence known. The second night, the fog is coming. They kill the people out on the ship. And then the final night, they come for the town for the last 3 people. And dang, I enjoyed it more than Amityville. I know maybe that's right. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Like the original Amityville really bored the shit out of me. This, I just enjoyed more as a ghost story than that. So I definitely enjoyed the ghost story elements of this picture. And again, the Who's cast being in it kind of makes it a little bit more special for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that. Like we were talking privately between us like earlier, and I was like, this is the atmosphere and this is great. It's an excellent ghost story with some revenge in it. And there's actually a simple mission of we need 6 people to die and we want to reclaim our lost gold that y'all freaking stole from us. So we're going to get that back. But at the same time, the plot is a bit of a mess. This is probably a good time to head on over to the bad about the fog.
I got to piss real quick, and I have a lot on this. I'll be right back.
That's fine. We'll keep rolling. You just come back when you get back.
So for me to start
and
with...
that's Rob Bottin, by the way, who's actually Blake. He's a famous visual effects creator that worked on RoboCop, worked with John and Paul Verhoeven. So,
really?
Yep.
Cool.
Just wanted to point that out really quick. But go ahead.
I know I listed this as the bad, but I really love this picture. I do. I think that's just the coolest thing. Now, I say for the bad, the special effects is kind of what kills it for me. Like when you see the lepers, it's their silhouettes, and they're very much just black. Now,
and usually at a distance too, so they're further away from the camera, so you don't see all the detail.
Right, they really don't want you to be able to see what they are, and that's okay. That is okay. But at the same time, it's like we're starting to get to an age where you're starting to see the monster now. Like you could see Freddy, you could see Jason, you see Michael. But here we just see these silhouettes further away. But Blake, you see his red eyes, and that I wish we would have seen more of. That was very menacing. That was very iconic and cool. But we didn't
I
get to
pretty
see
much
enough
agree with
of
that.
it.
Like Blake is fantastic. Like these red eyes with the glowing cross between them and what was going on at the time. It's like this is actually pretty freaking cool for what we're seeing. But visual effects wise, like with the fog rolling in, that was kind of one thing. Some of the other stuff didn't exactly work, but the practical effects, those stood out more because the visual effects did not live up to the standard of the rest of the movie.
Yeah. And the practical effects really made it. Like I enjoyed them. I enjoyed the glowing cross. Like everything is just lighting with this movie. The fog glows. Well, how do we make it so the fog glows? Everything was just very practical effects and very, hey, I've got an idea how to make this work. But it was cheap. It was cheap compared to what it could have been. Now, how do you know these are waterlogged pirates, or not pirates, but sailors, lepers, whatever? Because they had sound effect Foleys of someone going squish, 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 squish every time they walked.
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, man, the Foley effects at times are a bit little. What are we doing here? A little too low budget at times.
But without that, you wouldn't have known that they were actually from the sea. Like they didn't have barnacles necessarily coming out of them. They didn't have any slime to them.
I maybe would have given more weight to them, so the base of the foots of their feet stomping down would have made a little more. I don't know, giving it a little more weight to them. I hate to bring it up, but Pirates of the Caribbean, when you hear them stomping around with the squishy feet, you at least hear the thud on the deck of, oh man, shit's about to get really bad up in here. Seemed to be one thing that was missing from this movie for me was just the little extra detail work, but they were probably running against a schedule and there was only so much they could do.
I was just to bring about Pirates is in Pirates 2. When you see all the when you see, the weird dude that's got tentacles for a beard and he's playing the piano and stuff, and you see everyone walking. You hear the weight, and you could tell these guys weigh 400, 500 pounds of waterlog, right?
Yep.
In this movie, it's squish, squish, and it's just no, not really. Okay. However, I wanted to ask this question because Foley, I think, is almost better than effects at times. How many times have you guys thrown on a movie and you're relaxing your eyes and you could see the movie in your head, right? It's so important versus watching a movie when a band plays and you see it in the background. You're like, oh, Blade isn't as cool as I thought it was without the sound. You know what I mean? Like, do you think Foley is better than effects? Is kind of the question I'm throwing out there, because this movie is right on the plane of the Foley is and the effects are but it still works.
They hit like an equilibrium, I think. But Kevin,
no, I was gonna agree with you. They need to have a happy marriage.
Yeah.
To really be effective, they should go hand in hand. Because if one's stellar and one's shitty, it's definitely going to show. And if they're both good, if they're both mediocre, they're going to come out okay. But if they're both good, they're going to come out great. If one's bad, it doesn't matter how good the other one is. It'll end up being bad and cheesy. Like First Wave we were watching the other day, when they have the episode, the motel episode, where the lady's running the knife down the plastic wall and it screams.
I love knives.
It's like, that doesn't work.
And it wasn't even the sound of steel scratching.
Well, Kevin, it does remind me of like Vinny's Never Hike Alone, the very first one, with Jason's feet stomping around. They were almost too loud. And even he admits that after he's like, we're fixing it for the sequel, we're fixing it for everything else, but we know
which one
the Foley effects were a bit too much for Jason.
Which one?
Never Hike Alone. Friday the 13th fan film.
I still thought that was cool.
Okay. Never Hike. Okay, sorry, my bad. I'd never seen it. Do you got a link you sent? Because I would love to actually.
It's free on YouTube.
Yes,
that it
can
is.
absolutely get that over to you. And Vinny's a super cool guy. Loves talking about Friday the 13th movies. Have you reach out to him and get you
That
hooked
would be
up.
awesome because see, I'm one of those weird guys. I think number 2 is the best, and all others can go fuck all, except for Jason in Space or Jason X.
Yeah, Vinny does not like the very first Friday the 13th movie.
I think
he likes all the rest of them,
You know
though.
why? Because Sleepaway Camp did it better. That's
Yeah.
why. Sleepaway Camp is a remake of Friday the 13th Part 1, but it's better because she's got a penis. Remember when Mark Henry said that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go. See, real wrestling fan. Remember when he made love to Mae Young and they gave birth to a hand? That was amazing. Yeah, that was a good time. High five.
Oh my god, the crazy shit you hear on 0-Point reviews when we actually have a guest.
That's how we roll on the Night Party podcast.
Joker here, and we like to give birth to hands.
Hey, nice, dude. Like
anyway,
that.
the bad, I'm going to say the real bad thing about this is the character development that's force-fed in this,
There
right?
is some of that, yes.
So here's what I mean about force-fed character development. They have to chain.
Kevin, there you go.
I do have the hand birth right here.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. That is awesome. I need that in my life. My wife won't understand why, and I'll show you later.
It's a jelly hand.
Give her a hand.
They have a and I like character chains, but they force feed you the character chain where it's like, here's Stevie. Oh, Stevie's son is this person, and he finds this. Oh, and it's related to Mrs. Williams, who's related to the boat driver. Oh, and it's right, and they're all connected in this web of crazy. And you don't need that like that. Okay, go back to the stuff for a second. I don't know why we're using this stuff as a reference, or I am rather, but I'm bringing you gentlemen into it with me. The stuff character development is so good because Chocolate Chip Charlie meets this person for a reason, meets this person for a reason. Everyone meets for a reason, and it all makes sense. Or look at other 80s movies like The Blob. How the characters meet is very organic. In this movie, they're all connected, but why? But why?
So they could be in the picture.
And exactly. And it has nothing to do with the 6 sacrifices that they're talking about. You would think the 6 sacrifices would be the characters we focus upon, but no, they're killed off like that. And then we're forced to deal with the actors we have to deal with, probably because, we all know this is a thing that Carpenter does. He loves his favorite actors and he likes putting them in his movies. I mean, look at all his movies. There's a lot of recasting and I get it. But at the same time, if it's going to sacrifice story, dude, you're not a college kid casting your best friends. You're a filmmaker, like make films. And I think he learned his lesson after this because if I'm not mistaken, this is his second major film, correct? After Halloween. Halloween was 78. And then Halloween 2 was 79.
Movie after that, I forgot what it was called, but then he did this movie and Escape from New York. And then after that, it's like you get the run of the classic Carpenter movies through the 80s. Like, man was a goddamn machine after Escape from New York.
And not only that, he created the Cronenberg-esque of body horror and everything. Like, we wouldn't have The Fly. I keep mentioning The Substance because I love this movie. I think everyone should go see it. It got snubbed for the Oscars and fuck that. Go watch The Substance. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I gave it a 97. I'd never give a movie that high unless it's like RoboCop, Alien, or Predator related, right? Anyway, and by the way, RoboCop 3 doesn't suck as bad as you thought it did. But what the hell was I saying? Yes, I was saying this. The Cronenberg body horror style of makeup and effect Carpenter brought to us during The Thing, which I believe was 82, correct? I think it was 82. But then we had The Fly in 84, and then all of a sudden, boom, we had the 80, and everyone, I mean, you guys will probably agree with me, 86 and 87 were the golden years of horror sci-fi cinema, right?
Just about.
I mean, that's where we got in fact, if you take a class at UC Berkeley. I don't recommend it, but if you do on film, they'll tell you the golden age was like 1978 to 1988. I think is no. Sorry, 1978 to 1992 is, they say, the golden age. It was from Alien to Terminator 2 or Jurassic Park. They say that's the golden age of cinema right there. Boom. You can't beat it. And I agree with that. That's practical effects, great stories, great music. But the bad in this is, I would say, is the character development sucks. The rewatchability of this movie, this is not a rewatch. This is not like Lost Boys. I can't watch it every other month or whatever. I can't memorize this film. This is not like to me, this is not even a yearly watch. It's not like I always watch The Crow on Halloween. I always watch Bill and Ted on 69, on June 9th. I always watch V for Vendetta on the 5th of November. I have these weird rituals with movies. I'm a very huge cinemaphile. This movie, probably won't watch it for another maybe even 5 years and won't think about it.
Right.
But I will be watching Big Trouble in Little China. I will be watching The Thing. I will be watching Escape from New York. I might even watch Escape from LA before I watch this movie. So that's why I give this a 90. I give this a 71. And that's like the lowest I've ever graded a Carpenter film.
Yeah, and for me, I would just echo a lot of what everybody's saying. The first thing that's on my mind with the bad of this movie, though, is Tom Atkins without a mustache. Please don't ever fucking do that again. Absolutely keep the mustache. You let him shave it. That was a big mistake. But, character development, yeah, there's issues. There's nothing terribly memorable about this movie.
He plays Nick, right?
Yeah. What's that?
He plays Nick, right?
Yeah. Nick Castle. The actor who played the very first Michael Myers.
Holy no.
Yeah. He named half the characters after actors that were in his other movies that he did not cast, of course.
I thought that was Dick Warlock.
No.
I'm not even
joking. Part 4.
Get the hell out of here. Oh my God. I am so dude, you bow to you. Hold on. Let me ring the bell.
And then the guy Dan O'Bannon is named for the guy who wrote Alien.
Yep.
I did recognize that.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You just fucking blew my mind.
Yeah, well, that is one of the nice little tidbits. And he mostly brought Jamie back because he felt bad because after Halloween, she didn't get the leading roles that he thought she would end up getting. He honestly probably thought, hey, she's going to be the Harrison Ford from Star Wars. Oh, she ended up being more Mark Hamill from Star Wars. But she ultimately sheds the Scream Queen status and does very fine with her career. But, she doesn't have much of a role in this. A lot of them, it all feels like a bunch of bit roles. None of them are totally remarkable characters that stand out. Even Adrienne Barbeau's character of Stevie Wayne is just some random DJ. Well, you're married to John Carpenter. That's why you got the role, probably. And it was her first feature film. However, even with all the bit roles, it's still enjoyable, but no well-defined character. Nobody's really leading the movie. And the story at times is a bit convoluted and it's a mess. It's a mess.
You said it best when you said no one's leading the movie. It seems like Nick's supposed to be leading. No, you're right. It's what the, and also how are we supposed to make Jamie Lee Curtis a powerful person in this movie when she meets Nick and they fuck right after meeting while drinking and driving right after their windows break and someone taps on their door and she's like, oh, by the way, I was hitchhiking only 13 times. So did she fuck everybody else on the way over here? I didn't know what language I could use when I got on this podcast, but I think we're far along enough. But I wrote it down. It's did she sleep with 13 dudes?
That's what it seemed like. She did the George Carlin thing from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
And by the way, Mark Hamill did have a career by doing this. Yes, I was in a lot of video games. And
you know what I mean? Massive movie star just didn't have.
Oh, of course. I just play with my lightsaber.
It's very good. I was in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and no one watched that shit.
Hakiaka.
It was. It was a terrible turn. Bats.
Fuck you guys. I have it autographed.
By the way, if you want me to do any stingers for you as Mark Hamill, I met Mark Hamill when so the cool thing about doing a podcast, I don't know if you guys have done this yet, but I've been doing this since and I'm not pulling rank here. I'm just saying here's a way to get free shit.
Have at it.
Because I am half Jewish, right? So I like to save money, the good half. So if you make little tags and walk in and they say press and they have your little, hey, I'm on 0 Point Reviews, and you walk into a Comic-Con and it's on a lanyard, chances are they'll let you in for free. And then you could just walk around. So I did this when we were doing Slime Wreck. I'm still doing Slime Wreck, but it's not my main project because my broadcasting partner now plays with toys. But anyway, I met Mark Hamill. I did that impression. And you know what he said? I'm going to be retiring soon. And I'm like, fuck yeah. So if you would like...
the best jokers I've heard, honestly.
Oh, thank you very much. You're listening to 0 Point Reviews, where you get the truth. And some bullshit. And if you'd like to go to my Cameo, it's at cameo.com/nightpartypod, and I'll do a birthday greeting for you. And groovy.
There you go.
I dig it.
I have another thing I don't like about this movie, though.
Do it.
Okay. For an 86 minute movie, pre-credits, why does it feel so slow?
That is true. It does have pacing issues.
It feels like a 4-act movie in a 3-act movie.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of driving.
Speak on it, please.
There's a lot of driving. Like, there's so much driving in this movie that it might as well be on MS.
Oh, you meant like physically driving. I thought you meant like that was a term I wasn't aware of in filmmaking. Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, he's trying to draw a correlation. There's an episode of MST3K, The Lost Continent, where the gag is they're constantly climbing for about 2/3 of the movie. And then the rest of the movie is like 15 minutes long.
This has a pacing of like Lost Highway. You're right. Like, it's got so much, like, you're like, what? And then the window, okay, the windows break. Oh, that's scary.
Back to driving.
Yeah. And we're driving.
They stopped.
Oh, wait, you know what? You're not even wrong, because one of the most intense scenes is her putting the car in reverse, and it takes her like 4 minutes to hit the clutch.
That drove me crazy.
It's not actually 4 minutes. Okay. First off, we're clearly above the age of 20. Most people don't know how to drive a clutch. I guarantee I could take a 2-year-old and teach them how to put it in reverse really quickly if their life depended on it.
My wife could do that, and she doesn't want to ever learn manual transmission.
Well, then she wants to get stranded in Oakland, California?
No, but see, I would never go to Oakland, California.
But they have the best food in the world, dude. If you like Chinese food, oh my God.
You know what?
Sorry.
Only Kevin can talk to that, so Kevin.
Anyway.
Oh, you're from up there.
Kevin, we might be neighbors. I mean, without getting out any details, where were you born and grown up at? I know it's like not on the subject, but like we're podcasting here. We're having a good time, right?
I'm in Roseburg, Oregon now, but I am from Hollister, California.
I know you. Yeah, that's where all our weed was grown back in the day when it was illegal.
Yeah,
I remember that. I'm from the VALLEJO. We're selling narcotics is all I know. And then I moved to Napa because I like guns and not being shot. So yeah.
Yeah, because Vallejo's rough, man. I mean, aside
oh, shit. Can I tell you stories, my brother? Oh.
I mean, I loved fucking Marine World and stuff like that, but
oh, you mean 6 lawsuits? Yeah.
That's a good start.
6 lawsuits, 7 flags, baby. Oh, dude, the Batman Super Show was something to behold, though. Back in the day, we used to drink beer at Dan Foley Park across the way, and we used to throw beers to Batman. It was awesome, and he would catch them.
Oh,
That's rad.
They were
That's
fucking
so
neighbors,
rad.
man. I knew her vocabulary when we started saying hella and kraken and stuff like that. I'm like, we're kindred spirits. And also, too, you're probably a late Gen Xer or early millennial, correct? You guys are all born in the 80s, right?
Yep.
77. I'm at tail end of Gen X.
Actually, the tail end of Gen X is 84, but we can have that conversation later because I get in this with my wife all the time. She is a millennial. I'm a Gen Xer. She's Asian because I'm smart. And I'm always like,
so she does your taxes. Got it.
No, I do. Remember, half Jewish. Remember, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Guys, I think the good, the bad. Is there an ugly part of the show?
We used to do ugly, and it just started with the bad, and it never ended. And we're like, okay, let's just judge the movie now.
We're just kicking a horse.
Cool. I'll tell you what though. I always do what we call knife party after dark on X. If you guys want to join me on X Spaces, unless you guys do something to keep the party going, it's up to you. It's your show, but I always usually do a cast afterward. If you guys want to join me on that,
I might after we wrap up.
Cool, but all right. So, how do we wrap this up? I mean, I already told you. I'm sorry for blowing my load early. I gave it a 71, and to the audience, I apologize for dominating the show. I am a very talkative person, and usually I'm running the show by myself. But thank you so much, guys. And by the way, I'm recording this on mine. To 0.Point Reviews, to having me on the show to talk about The Fog. We didn't even get into half the notes I took that I thought I was going to need. You guys run an awesome show. You guys got to subscribe to 0.Point Reviews.
Thanks, buddy.
How do we find you guys? And do you guys have a Patreon or any way we could donate to you guys? Or do you have any merchandise for sale?
Working on merchandising. Waiting to hear back from a friend of mine that will be.
I'll hook you up, dude. I will hook you up.
We used to be on Patreon, but then they wanted my ID because our content was a little too mature for them. And I'm like, I'm not giving you any more of my personal identification than absolutely necessary.
Did they really?
Yeah, I made a picture of RoboCop cleaner.
Dude, they never asked me for any of that crap, and I
we were too M-rated, so I'm like, you know what? Bye. But if you guys want to support us, we're here on YouTube. You can do super
you guys are like
chats. We got
PG-13.
memberships, we got things, but we got merch on the way. So
you guys are like PG-13. You're not even like I mean, I'm fucking yeah, I'll go off, man. Like you guys are great. Like I can't believe that. Hey, patreon.com. I know I do business with you, but you guys need to have these guys back on. I know you're listening because they do listen. I don't think they actually do, but if maybe one person is. So how do we find you guys? You guys on? But you're still on YouTube. That's the weird thing. See, I was banned from YouTube, but yet on Patreon, fine. How do we find you guys? How do we find you if we're not like watchers? If we want to just download your show and like listen to it?
Oh, well, we're on almost all podcast apps under Suns and Shadows. You might have to type in CAST at the end. Otherwise, we do stream live on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Usually Rumble, but I've been having trouble getting streams set up with them lately because they don't have the best interface. But I'm going to get back to fixing that. And eventually I'm going to get the Kick channel rolling again too, because I do want to get into game streaming. But SunsAndShadows.com. We're on all social medias at Suns and Shadows Cast or just Suns and Shadows. Just look for the little logo with the S in the middle. It looks totally cool. My buddy Kevin over here designed that for us.
Kev, how do we find you?
At KCS Kevin Smith on Twitter or just Kev Smith at Facebook. I'm just usually here.
Cool. And how about on Twitter? Like, how do we find you guys? What's your ats?
At Suns and Shadows. And Kevin just said at KCS Kevin Smith.
Cool. Well, I am Zach Evergreen, but you know me from the Knife Party Podcast, and you could find us at Knife Party Pod. Now, remember, there's an Australian band that play techno music that's not good, and they are also called the Knife Party Podcast. However, we are the real Knife Party Podcast. So type in the Knife Party Podcast or Knife Party Pod. I'm also at Knife Party Pod at Yahoo. I answer every single email. If your name is Catherine Isabel and you want to give me a call, my number is 707-373-0560. You can also find me at Father Heel. Heel spelled like your foot. Heel is the word for villain in pro wrestling. And dude, guys, it's been I've had a blast. Like, we definitely need to do this again. And I'm really sorry for dominating your podcast, but I've had a really great time. I'm just really excited to hook up with a bunch of dudes that want to talk about some boobies and blood. You know what I mean?
Well, hell, when we have a guest on, if we got to pull information out of you, then why did we invite you on to begin with? Like, we want you to be able to talk. We want you to be able to relate to us, have a fun time, connect. Hey, that's when some of the best random conversations come up. We don't script over here. So
awesome. So check it out. If you guys want to stay aboard, I'm actually going to be doing an after dark. If you guys want to join me, we could do it on here, or I could take it to Spaces. It's up to you. What would you guys like to do?
Take it on over. We still have one little blit to judge for Kevin and me, but
oh no, it's about me. I know. Okay. Well, I love you guys. Thank you so much for having me on, and I'm going to do an after dark, and you are totally welcome to join me. I'm going to title it The Fog After Dark, and you guys are totally welcome to join. Thank you so much for having me on. Very gracious. I hope I'll be invited on again soon.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I had a blast. This was great. You guys are awesome.
We had a blast. You have a good night there, buddy. And Kevin, let's head on over to the judge.
The judge. The final judgment. I liked this last image. I couldn't help it.
That's why I made that the little stinger at the end of the intro to begin with.
I couldn't resist.
I love the head decapitation. It's like, oh, we did not leave a thread tangled.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And I'm just kind of like, dude, why are you sitting there questioning that shit? Get the fuck out. Get out of town. Get off of that island. You won. Leave. But no, he stayed around and asked questions and died.
Well, he's a priest. He's gonna go down with his ship, kind of like a captain.
You know, he had more integrity than his great grandfather. We'll give him that.
Well, yeah, he gave back the goddamn cross, which that was, to be honest, that was dope.
Yes.
And like, hey, I must pay penance. Take me. They're like, no, we'll just take the cross now, and then we'll come back for you later when you think you've won. You really didn't.
Yeah, you or if we get somebody else first, we're indiscriminate. And that was one of the things, to your guys' point, the 6 people that they killed were completely indiscriminate other than the priest. Like, it had nothing to do with the people that screwed them over previously.
Yeah, like there was no relation as far as I could tell.
Yeah, like, because
it was kind of like a loose plot line. I'm like,
and that's okay, but
yeah,
usually the trope is you have to kill their ancestor. And that's what they did in Ernest Scared Stupid.
Right. And that, if you try to analyze it, maybe there was some relation with some of them, but they never dipped into that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it was okay. I liked it for this movie's limitations. I do like it. I will say I like it more than Prince of Darkness.
I think maybe eventually I'll feel that way. I think on the scale of John Carpenter, I'd put this still below Prince of Darkness, but not by much. Like, if I'm going to give this an actual score, I'm probably going to go like a good solid 75%.
Yes.
I think it's a solid movie. It's not like typical Carpenter movies, but neither was his first movie, Dark Star.
No. And
that's a weird one.
I don't think I've seen that. I need to go look at that.
That's from the 70s. That was his college movie he did for his final project.
Oh.
It's kind of weird. There's It's a beach ball, but there's a thing in that movie.
Someone fucks a beach ball. Yuck.
No. But the air does come out of it a few times. It blows.
Oh. Well, I mean, if it's anything like the thing from The Prisoner.
Yeah, that's true.
the big
squeak.
Speaking
Squeaks
of
too much.
Foley effects.
Right.
I don't know though. I just I couldn't get into Prince of Darkness. There was no.
No, yeah, I get that though.
There was
That's
no
a
payoff
different kind of movie.
Yeah, maybe if I watched it again like this one, I don't know. Remember if I felt enjoying it the first time I watched this. I want to say I enjoyed it. Not enough to go out and apparently buy the Blu-ray, but whatever.
Yeah, you can still find, if you really wanted it, you can get it out there. It's not expensive. It's just if you want the 4K, you might have to pay. But the Blu-ray is pretty inexpensive from Scream Factory.
I was watching the 4K on my Plex server, and I did not get around to watching those special features. And now I'm just kind of like, fuck, I should have gotten around to doing that.
I wish I did too.
I started watching Raw because everyone was like, oh, you got to see what Cena says. And I'm like, God, I should have watched the special features instead.
Yeah, I watched the clip of that and I'm like, really?
Like,
you get nothing. Are you weird, Kevin? Because that's how they started this movie. Are you weird?
I am. I am weird.
Artist. That was how I was going to do the intro for the show, was ask each of you if you were weird, but we just got rolling right away.
But you know what? I liked it. That was a good way to start. I liked yes, we're going back an hour and a half in the show now, but that was a good way to start their relationship. Are you weird? Yeah. I'm fucking crazy.
God.
All those other people were normal. Oh.
Sex wasn't just as good. I want crazy.
It was so vanilla.
So plain. They didn't even break out the whips and chains.
I got a kink in my back for not being able to stretch. Ugh,
my neck. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, my judgments of this one, I don't know where I would rank this on the Carpenter scale. I would rank it a bit higher than you guys. I appreciate it a bit more than Prince of Darkness. Certainly not more than God, I can't even think of it.
Big Trouble They Live.
No,
Halloween.
no. Mouth of Madness.
Mouth of Madness with Sam Neill. Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was just brilliant. This is more on the okay level. This is, I think, this is going to be under Escape from New York for me.
Ooh, okay. See, I do like Escape from New York. I actually am odd. I like Escape from LA, but I would put Escape from LA below this because that movie is just kind of terrible, but I like how terrible it is. That's part of the problem with that movie, is it ain't great, but I oddly will watch that anytime somebody brings it up. It's like, shit, now I'm going to watch that movie because freaking Zach brought it up and I'm like, God damn it. Now I'm going to have to watch that movie now.
I still haven't seen it. Like, it's been 20 years and I still haven't
Bruce
seen it.
is in it, dude.
I know. So is Steve Buscemi, but whatever.
Oh, that's right. He's in that movie too. Shit. Forgot about that. See, now I'm going to have to watch it again. I love the ending to it though.
Bruce
They'll
is
never
an
do
icebreaker.
Escape from Earth though.
No. Not unless they get Wyatt to do it.
Wyatt might. That'd be kind of interesting. Wyatt's all right. I like him. I like him more than Jack Quaid.
He could be a Snake clone, like in Metal Gear.
Just saying. That's where Metal Gear modeled off of, was Snake Plissken. So, got any other final thoughts, Kevin?
No, I don't think so. I'd be reaching if I did.
Yep. Same here. We had a fun guest. He's got an after show going on Twitter Spaces. Head on over. Look for the Knife Party podcast. I might drop in a few minutes. I have to use the facilities and we need to say goodbye to everybody. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Please be sure to hit the like button on the way out. We would greatly appreciate it. It does help with the YouTube algorithm. Also, put a comment in our section down below. We do read our comments. We interact as best as we can. And also, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you can stay tuned to all of our video content. And we will see you all